bunny boots. You may have seen us in our snowmobile videos wearing these big looking white boots. We call them bunny boots, and today we are going to review these amazing Arctic winter boots. These bunny boots are named after the Arctic snowshoe hare, and they are available in black and white. The black version is commonly referred to as Mickey Mouse boots, and they are good to -20 Celsius. The black ones have a different style rubber than these white ones that's made to be more oil and diesel resistant. These white boots are an improved version of the black boot, designed for use in even colder temperatures, and these are rated down to -54 Celsius. These boots keep your feet warm by sandwiching up to 1 inch of wool felt in between 2 vacuum-tight layers of rubber. I've cut this boot open to have a look at how many layers of felted wool there are inside, so we already know what's going on in between those 2 layers of rubber. I was quite surprised. The shoelace is tight at the top to keep the air in, basically creating a vacuum flask where your own body heat keeps your feet warm. The boot has an air valve on the side that must be opened prior to flying to ensure the air pressure between the walls of the boot and the outside air does not cause the boot to rupture. That's mostly if you're like jumping with a parachute. For snowmobiling, we don't use this, but the first thing we do when we do get a new pair of boots is make sure that this valve is closed, because water can come in through here and ruin your boot if this valve is not closed. Recently, we've gone as far as to shoe gluing this valve closed, so we don't have to worry about water coming in through there at all. These boots have a wedge at the front, at the back, and the front, which is made to lock into standard military skis and snowshoes. They're also really handy grabs for taking your boots off. Inside of the boots here, there's a date of when they were made. These were made in 1975. Whereas these pairs here were more recent, from the early 2000s. Also, on the heel here, there's a weight indicator that shows how much they should weigh if they're in good working condition. If they're heavier than indicated, it means that they are most likely waterlogged and won't work anymore. Let's try mine. Last year when I fell through the ice on a spring glacier and walking through all that overflow, one of my boots got water in them. Let's see how much heavier that boot is. Because it's 54 ounce, just like it says on the heel. This one here, 69.6. So that's a lot more. While we are here, I should add that these boots come in a variety of sizes and widths. Every size has a choice of narrow, regular, or wide. There are also multiple manufacturers of these boots. We have tried the Bata, the Adcom, and the Airboss. These are the Airboss. But we find the Bata boots to be the best, as the rubber is the softest and the most durable. The Bata boots also have bigger eyelets if you compare it to the Airboss here. And the Bata boots have a thin layer of rubber at the top that's really flexible and comfortable on the shin and calf. Whereas, for example, here, if you compare it to the Airboss, it's really thick and rigid, and it gets uncomfortable on the shin and calf. And if you use them for walking, it can create blisters. We don't do this, but it is recommended to go bare feet in these boots. If you wear socks, they can get wet from your sweat and cool your foot down. We do wear socks in ours, and we have had no issues. For added comfort, you can also buy a specific insole that adds a layer of air in between your foot and the bottom of the boot. I did own a pair of those at one point, but I didn't find that they made enough of a difference to keep them. We really love these boots because there's no liner to dry at the end of the day. We once snowshoed 600 kilometers from our home in northern BC to the central Yukon, and we used a black version of these boots for that trip. When you're cold camping, it is so nice to not have to worry about drying liners. You just take off your boots at the end of the day, put on some down booties to keep warm, and the next morning you can just wipe the ice from inside of the boot, put them on, and it takes a few minutes for your foot to warm up the inside of the boot. But after that, you don't have to worry about your feet for the rest of the day. And that's pretty nice. Another reason why it is such a benefit that these boots don't have liners is overflow or any kind of water or creek crossing. If you make sure this valve is closed and you have shoe glued any cracks in the rubber, you can confidently walk around in Overflow or cross creeks. Yes, you most likely will get water in your boot, but your body heat will warm that water up, and after a while you don't even really notice that you have water in it anymore. When we snowmobiled almost 1,000 kilometers from northern BC to Dawson City last year, we had a few days with a lot of overflow. And time again, we were walking around in it. And yes, my boots got wrecked on that trip. But I have to say, I spent hours walking around in the water, and I even fell through a spring glacier dam with my legs fully submerged, and it was fine. Although I definitely noticed the difference in the good boot and the bad boot, because one boot got waterlogged. The bad boot was heavier and less warm than the good boot, but it was still possible to finish to the end without having really cold feet. These boots are becoming harder and harder to find, especially if you're anything over a size 9. The older Bata boots are not lasting as long as they did in the past because the rubber is wearing out. Even if you can find a brand new pair, the rubber on the older style Bata boots has been sitting, for example, since 1975. These boots only lasted me 2 winters, whereas the ones I used to own in the early 2000s were lasting me a few more years. As someone suffering from Raynaud syndrome in my hands and my feet, I have to say that I absolutely love these boots, and I completely trust them for keeping my feet warm. But because it's getting harder to find these boots and they're getting very pricey, we are going to try out a different type of boot for this winter. Philippe may have the opportunity to go work in Resolute Bay this winter in far northern Canada. And he wants to replace his waterlogged bunny boots. He actually has, all of them are waterlogged. He wants to replace his waterlogged boots with a boot that will keep his feet warm if he goes that far into the Arctic. So we have asked our Arctic colleagues what they recommend. So what they answered is the Baffin Apex. The Baffin Apex is a boot with a liner. So our strategy is to have purchased a second liner. So that this way for snowmobiling, if we spend time in overflow and the liner gets soaked, we have a spare liner that should last until we set up camp and can dry out the wet one. Not ideal, of course, but we'll see. And I'm sure we will give you a review of those and see how we like them. Also, I have a pair of these sticker muglucks, which I love how they look. And they're awesome for at camp and around town. They're very warm. I've got lots of liners and insoles in there. But for snowmobiling, I don't really like them as they're really soft and pliable, and I don't feel they give me much support. But other than that, I really love these. So there we go. Our review on the bunny boots. Are they the best boots that were ever made? I think the Bata ones definitely outrank any other type of winter boot I have ever owned, especially knowing that I have Raynaud's, and I really am so happy that I can count on these to keep my feet warm. If you have any questions or if there's anything that I didn't cover in a review, let me know down in the comments below and we'll do our best to answer as soon as we can. There you go. Thanks for watching.